to hear, you know, the discussion, because the minutes don't reflect.
No, the actual discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the details.
Mhm.
Okay, so, did everybody sign in? That'll be a roll call. And did everybody get a copy of the agenda?
Yep.
We, motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Brenna, Tim, and I did not watch the YouTube recording, but it has to be accurate.
Russ filmed it, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes. Any seconds?
I second.
Okay. Passport program, Brenna.
Nothing amazing. I did do a really quick, so if anybody has edits or changes that they'd like to do, I did like a special 250th edition for this, so largely the information is the same. I had to remove some of the things like phone numbers or email addresses, so it really is just kind of specific to websites, and then it also includes what celebration like the group is gonna have. So if you wanna be on this and your group is planning some kind of celebration for America's 250th, you can include that here. So mine, and I can pass it around. The example I did was, we're planning on doing a birthday party at the Polk County Museum, and we're doing like a time capsule burial on July 4th. So if you can try to keep it to a couple lines, because then it starts getting real funky with like sizing and stuff like that, but I can pass this around. Largely everything is the same. Terry printed off.
I was thinking that they could write it on this one.
Yeah, you can also, if you have something and you already know what you're doing, you can always write it there, and I'll take it home and I'll make the updates and send out updates. But if you guys aren't sure yet, or you haven't totally have anything ironed out, just, tell me. Probably, I think this is something we probably should promote a little bit more going into this next year. I don't know how much people push the regular passport, but so probably by like, when museums start opening up, so like maybe by our April conference, if you can have that kind of ironed out as to what you're gonna do, if you're gonna do anything, and have it sent to me so that I can get a finalized copy just put together and sent out. But yeah, otherwise anything else with the other passport, just the kind of regular one that we have. If you have any changes, any edits, just let me know, and I can make those changes and send it out.
Out of curiosity, has anybody ever had somebody come in with it all, like 5 museums checked off?
Yep.
Yeah?
We did.
I had a person come in with one, but not all 5 filled in, so.
We did, and then they went after here. There was 2 different ones. They came the same day, but they weren't together, but they had ran into each other at another place. And so they were both doing the same thing, and then when they got to Chautauqua, which they got there before here, but anyway, when they got to Chautauqua, the people that were working had no idea what they were talking about. And so they called John Banks, and he didn't know what the prize would be either, so he just told them, let them pick anything out of the gift shop except a sweatshirt. And so they had, one had a t-shirt, I think one had a hat, or they had expensive stuff anyway, more expensive than what we gave them. That's the only ones I've seen, and we've done this, 4 years, 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
But we've had people come and get them checked,
Yeah,
but never
same
get
as
them
us.
to be full. Okay, anything else about the passport program?
It's a very nice brochure.
I love that it's red, white, and blue.
Yeah, that was my goal. I hope to
And that you
hear.
use the little area 250 logo.
Yeah, so if anybody has changes or edits, edits to your regular stuff, send it to me. If you have changes or once you finalize what you want to do for the 250, let me know.
Make sure you put it in your newsletters, in your social media. Old business, Northern Wisconsin Heritage Council. I missed their last meeting,
So,
whoops. But they seem to be really making progress, and getting more and more tours on the Clio app, and I don't know what else to tell you about it. Just a Karen Saylor, who is her and Jim Brokron kind of head that up, and both of them are really amazing resources. I know we are always wondering about who to get for speakers, and I know they've been here, so I don't know that we'll ask them again for this spring, but good speakers, very knowledgeable, and Karen now opened a museum consulting business, and she would, talk with you probably without a fee, but I mean, if she actually comes in and does stuff, she'd probably be a fee with it, but anyway, she's, just like I said, a very good resource. And so then,
Yeah, so the Wisconsin Historical Society and the Council for Local History, so I pretty much just got onto that council, and then they were like, by the way, should we dissolve this? And so that was, it's being dissolved, yeah, so it's being dissolved. And so the Wisconsin Council for Local History is going to then become part of the Wisconsin Historical Society's Board of Curators again. So what that means is right now there are 10 different representatives kind of throughout the state. But when we become part of the Board of Curators again, that's gonna get downsized to 6 representatives. And so there's a couple spots in the state, including our section, that there's 2 people that represent this area. So it's myself and somebody from Chippewa Falls, I believe. Chippewa Falls or Eau Claire, I can't remember.
is it Rachel?
I think so. It sounded like, I mean, I haven't seen Rachel in a while, it sounded like she was kind of not,
Interesting.
yeah, but I don't know for sure.
She's the representative for the Wisconsin Federation of Museums, so she
Okay.
may not want to double
Yeah.
dip like that.
And so, yeah, so I think it'll be a larger discussion at one of our next meetings. They're just kind of finalizing all of the legalities and stuff like that. It's Eau Claire, that's right. So the question is, yeah, if it gets downsized, I'm happy to continue to try and push for my representation over that other person's. However, it's gonna largely just turn into like a vote, so I can't necessarily say what the outcome's gonna be. And yeah, if there's anything that you'd like me to bring up on behalf of, this section of Wisconsin, that's kind of the point, that's what I'm here for. So, yeah, I don't think our region has another meeting until next, like 2027, I think.
So that was one of my questions was, do we still follow the every other year meeting for the region?
As far as I know, but I think that'll probably be a larger discussion when they meet again to figure out
So I still technically, we actually meet this year because we met in 2025 because we hadn't met in since before the pandemic.
That's right, so it'd be
So I
2020.
think we do meet in
Reunion.
2026.
Okay, so I'll see what they are planning, but yeah, tentatively, we'll have something planned for 2026.
Did you guys find those meetings helpful when we do a regional meeting? How many of you guys have been to the
I'm trying to remember, where was the last one?
It was over in
Hayward?
Coudray, right?
Oh, yes,
Coudray.
yes, that's the only one I've ever been to. Okay.
And then before that, the one before that I think was here.
Okay, that would have been before me.
Yeah, that would have been a long time ago.
Explain what those are. Is that the same thing as what they used to do, having a Northwest District day-long event like at Ashland? We had one in
It's half a day.
half day.
It has to be half a day. It doesn't.
And then there are speakers and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
kind of
just-
like our mini conference, but with hopefully a larger group of,
Yeah.
museums attending.
And they don't do as many speakers.
No.
They do 1 or 2. But yeah, it's an educational and a chance for Janet Seymour and I forget who our representative is now, but for them
Gosh, I
to,
can't remember his name. Daniel, I think.
yep,
Sounds right.
Yeah.
To get to know us and our organizations. Speaking of, Janet said she was going to try to make it, but it didn't work out, that she had something else scheduled for today as well. And she said she would send me updates so that, unless she sent them and I haven't seen them, I did not get any updates, but she wanted me to share some updates. A lot of things I forgot about for this morning. We're in the middle, as you can see by our mess, we have a really big event this weekend. We're expecting about 3,000 people for it. Last year, we only had like 2,600, the year before we had 35, so I'm guessing, except that it's gonna be so cold. So anyway, we're in the middle of that, and so we kind of have a mess going on. This afternoon at 1 o'clock, we have about 6 volunteers coming to fill the Santa bags, and we're doing, I'm not sure, I thought it was 600, but maybe it's 800. Someone mentioned we're doing 800, so I don't know which it is, but we're doing a lot of Santa bags. So, and I'll see here if she did send anything.
And chances are she could have sent it to me, because she does it sometimes, but I haven't emailed her yet, so.
Oops. I clicked on the wrong email. Hang on a second here. It's not being helpful. It's not even coming up with her name. Oh. This might be it. No, this is just the one saying that she'd like to be here, but she's scheduled in Madison. She'd send along a few key updates and keep her informed on our April mini conference. That was the last I heard, so she did not send any updates. Do you know anything? Anybody know anything from the state?
I'm sure it's mainly just planning for events and, oh, and probably, what is it, History Advocacy Day, what's it called?
Oh,
Where you go down to Madison, you talk to your,
That's what it's called.
yeah, is it just Advocacy Day? Yeah, okay. That's coming up in what, March or April, I don't remember. But if you're on their mailing list, you'll get probably a bunch of reminder emails and things like that to contact your representatives, and if you can make it, go down to Madison and chat with them and just remind them of the importance of
they
local
really
history.
should pick a different one than.
I think it is in March, so, yeah. And that's always,
Association has theirs in March too,
Yeah.
it's like, there's always
Yeah.
a snowstorm.
well, and it's always tough for folks on this side of the state. I know they're trying, but I also know that their next conference next year is gonna be in Milwaukee, so again, it's still on the other side of the state, so, I don't know, maybe if we're vocal enough, we'll move it closer.
So the other thing that would be coming up before we would meet with her would be National History Day. And are we all in the Eau Claire region for that?
I think we are.
I haven't even looked to see what the date is for that, but
I think they start in February.
I know they've been struggling for judges and just volunteers in general for that. So if any of you are available, it's fun, it's easy to do, and I would really encourage you to go down. And Eau Claire's not that far, well, for us it's not that far, maybe for some of you it is. But anyway, I would encourage you to do that.
History Advocacy Day is February 11th.
Woof. Well, good luck getting down there in a snowstorm. So you can at least email your representatives
That's right.
and call them, so that's also an option, but.
Can you see when our district's National History Day is?
It's March 11th.
Oh.
Claire.
March 11th?
The registration deadline is February 19th, of course, that's for the students, but
Yeah.
March 11th is the contest date in Eau Claire.
Awesome, thank you. So,
So how do you get on this mailing list? I mean, we get the posters from them.
Usually they send out it's kind of weekly,
I
but
usually answer an email.
yeah, I think if you go onto the Wisconsin Historical Society's website, and there's usually a section where it'll say sign up for our mailers, or that kind of thing, and I think if you put your information in, then you can also click which things you want to get emails about and which things you don't want to get emails about. So yeah, if you're not all that interested in certain things, especially their marketing ones, which I have been trying to unsubscribe from for a little while, but you can, I think you can kind of click or check box which ones you do and don't want to see, but,
Thank you.
Okay, do we wanna do, I envisioned that America 250 idea is taking some time.
yeah, I just put it under old business because we had been talking about it, so we can also
Maybe, should we
put
move
that,
it down so that we can just
go through
have
the
more
rest of it.
time to do it?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Mini conference, I was hoping we could pick a date. I have to go grab my calendar. A date for it because I have a lot lot of ideas of people that I met down at the conference that I think would be really good for speakers, and I wanna start nailing that down, but I can't do it without a date. For instance, the Wisconsin Social Studies Organization, I can't think of the name of the organization either. But anyway, I went to one of their breakout sessions and talked quite a bit with them, and they would love to come, and they have such great ideas. I would think that they would be a great speaker. Maybe one on exhibit building, because we met a dynamite person that's
That'd be
really,
great.
really good at that, and had really basic ideas that were doable. Yeah. So anyway, if we could pick out a date, I'm gonna grab my calendar. You guys be looking and seeing what might work for you.
So last year, didn't we wait until April maybe because of the
It was
weather?
April, yeah,
it was April,
yeah.
I think that's probably a good idea.
preferably after
It's like
the
the,
13th,
it's like the last couple weeks.
yeah.
Yeah, why is it even, why does that exist?
Sounds like Erie, what is it? What is it?
Why does that
It's
exist?
Santa.
Is it, oh.
You got it?
Sorry.
That's around the corner. It's,
Oh,
she rises up from
Maybe.
just unplug it, maybe. I looked for a switch, I couldn't
Oh,
find
I
it.
know where the switch is. I was like, oh, in the right. Okay, any ideas, any thoughts? We want a weekday instead of a weekend, right? There was a lot of discussion last year about whether they wanted a weekend or weekday, that's why I'm not sure.
I guess the question is, how many people, and I think we did the survey, how many people would realistically show up if it was a weekend versus a weekday, and it was maybe like 1 or 2 people, like, difference? So, if
So
we.
it doesn't really matter.
No, at least it didn't last year. I mean, I can try and send out another survey again this year, but it just, that ends up taking a bunch of time because people don't respond unless I sit there and nag them, and you'd rather not.
Why don't we just do like we usually do, a Tuesday in April?
I would
That's-
agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so a particular Tuesday that looks good to you?
After the snowstorms are,
You are so
So the later in the month, probably the
Yeah.
better. The 21st, how does that look?
My husband's
Oh, wait.
having cataract surgery that day, so.
Okay, and
Tentatively.
that's our folk school day too. 14th or 28th?
Um,
Either works for me.
14th is. 28th might be a better chance of not having a snowstorm.
Any thoughts on the 28th?
No guarantees.
That's the latest we've ever done one.
Yeah, usually it's what, the first week in April, I think?
And I think we've even had it
Well,
in March. but-
The 1st of April is like on a Wednesday, and so that
Yeah.
kind of pushes everything
Yeah.
out.
So 28th? Are we gonna be getting too busy here? That's cleanup week for us, but we could
I'm gonna
probably
do it the
still.
14th. I mean, if it's here, it should be on your schedule. Would the 14th be better?
Anybody have a problem with the 14th? Because we could do either, honestly, but it is cleanup week for us that week. Okay, let's do the 14th.
and then the location,
We could do it here. I really don't wanna do this meeting here again next year. I know that we're good for the off-season, because we have a large enough space with heat, but this was really difficult for us because of the Christmas event, when our Christmas cookie sale.
Oh, you don't want to do the December one?
I don't wanna do
Yeah,
the
I can
December.
I can do the December ones, like at our museum, mainly because, yeah, I don't have to drive and use up all my windshield wipers.
Why didn't we do that this time?
I think because I wasn't there in
Probably.
September,
That's
I
why.
didn't make it.
Somebody wanted to
No, I think I
volunteer.
said-
Oh,
Russ wanted to
I said
volunteer.
if we do it here, we'll
I-
get the
I
people from
volunteer.
the east part of our district. If we
Yeah.
do it in Polk County, we might not get the
We're
folks
kind of
that
in
are,
the middle,
yeah,
Yeah.
just, that was my
which makes sense.
thinking.
But, yeah, or anywhere else that would be big enough to do it in there, because it worked out really well doing it Yeah, Clear Lake we were.
We did it one year down in like Chippewa Falls or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
we did.
Yeah, you know, they have a new director there, we should try to get them involved some more again.
Yeah.
By telling them that we're going to have our mini.
The problem is that everybody has to drive when we
Your whole
have it there.
school.
Yeah.
But- Okay, then, is there anybody that wants to be on a committee for setting up speakers for that?
I can help you again.
Okay, anyone else interested? If you have ideas, let us know.
Well, I think everything I've gone to, every meeting I've gone to, of other groups I'm in, I keep saying, should be something about 250th birthday of America on the agenda, some ideas or something
That's
that should
good.
just be part of
That's good. I'm
part of
glad you-
anything we do.
Yeah,
So are you gonna do the talk on it, Russ?
I'm not that old.
you mean you think we should do a session on it?
Yeah,
Well,
so
we
you
should
can
have
do
somebody
session.
come in and get us enthusiastic about some more.
Well, maybe Daniel and Janet can do that, because then they're not taking a session spot,
Right.
and they're still pushing the agenda. Okay, so,
We've usually done like 10 to 3 or 10 to 4 or something, is that what we're still thinking?
Well, does it usually end at 2 and then you have time to?
it's usually
I don't know.
later, like 3, and
Three or-
then I think I'll have to look at the
Okay.
old ones, but yeah, I think.
Or do we start earlier? I
We
don't
start
remember.
pretty early.
I thought we started at like
9.
8.
We
Yeah.
started at
8:30
9.
registration, but they're at 9 or something.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so Diana isn't here, so we won't be doing what River Badger talks are. Is that the little?
Well, actually, so I can talk about that. It is really cool. So Diana had reached out and said, you know, hey, if you, like, the Amory Museum is doing a specific talk in May, I didn't write it down. It's in May at some point. But the way they found this person was actually pretty useful. So if anybody knows anything about it, it's the University of Wisconsin, like, I think it's the extension office, or it's just one of their like main branches or part of the university system. But it's called Badger Talks, and it's basically just a series of professors in different departments who will do lectures, like they'll come to your museum and give talks, and it's sponsored through grant funding for them. So it's basically like they will have funding, you don't have to pay for the person to come. There might be like a small fee, I think, if it's like, if they have to travel like, you know, halfway across the state or farther. But
UW-Madison.
yeah, so yeah, and they have a bunch of different topics, they have a bunch of different professors who are willing to do it. I was looking into it to get somebody to do it. I think we can reach out to them potentially for this conference, for one type of talk. And then you can basically, I think it's like they want you to request maybe just like one per year, just because again, then it's not like you're monopolizing their time. But yeah, if anybody's interested in doing some kind of talk for their museum and, you know, funding is a little bit of a concern, yeah, Badger Talks is definitely something to consider.
You know, there was a publication called Badger Talks. I can't remember who put it out, if it was Wisconsin Historical Society or it was the UW.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole folder of them over here.
But yeah, that's how Diana found their speaker. And I think their speaker's doing something like with, maybe it's military history,
No,
something
this
like
is
that.
not
But yeah, their website's pretty helpful too, and they,
Oh, I
you
looked
know,
at it.
yeah, and they also have a list of like what public events they're currently hosting, so if you are in a certain area and you think, oh, I wanna go check it out, then you can go see. I'm assuming they're probably all, you know,
And-
farther west or east, but still.
Here's a thought too, if we could use them at different day parts, we could maybe coordinate where they could go
Yeah.
to multiple locations at one time.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Okay, let's do our museum updates. I'm looking at Mark. He's the president of our board, he comes to our mini conferences, but otherwise you guys probably don't see a whole lot of him. Go ahead, Mark.
What am I doing?
You're introducing yourself, just a little bit about what's going on here that you're involved with. We don't take very long, we try to keep it like to 3 minutes?
It's bragging about the last year at the museum.
Okay, I'm Mark Doberful, and our big push, we've got about 2 pushes with a few more coming. Our big push is building a new welcome center. And we've got the bids out for the final components of the building, which should come in December 18th or something like that. And it looks like we're gonna have enough money to fund them depending on where those bids come in. You know, carpentry one's gonna be the biggest one, and so that's most unpredictable. But it looks like we're gonna be able to build the building, then our next kick is to try and get the building furnished. And our second thing is our Ojibwa Village. We have for a long time dreamed about this, and we have finally had a guy who puts together all well, they're actually bands of the same tribe, but we call them the tribes, from Fond du Lac to Hurdle. And they are working together to use our land and to build a Native American village. We have one wigwam up with ironwood branches on the inside that hold it up and all that sort of stuff. It's very, very cool. And it has a lot of public appeal. And so once we get over the hump to get our building built, it's gonna be a lot easier to get people to help with that. But, you know, even the casinos are gonna help. They're gonna help with public relations, one thing after another. And we think that it's kind of a unique thing because it is built by the natives, not by Northern Europeans. And I really am into that. You know, I do not want a Northern European rendition of Indian culture. I want the Native American rendition of Indian culture, which, by the way, they're not offended to be called Indians, but a certain class of Europeans think that it's bad to call them that. And so those are two very exciting things that we're doing. Our building, we've got the slab in, we've got the sewer in, we've got the well in, and we have all the dirt work done, which, oh dear me. 150,000 bucks, well, 18,000 bucks for engineering to tell you that water runs downhill. And then 150,000 bucks to scrape around the dirt and say, oh yeah, I guess it does run downhill.
Did
So,
you see that our architect passed away a few days ago?
yes, it did, yeah. So, you know, we had the lumber company draw the plans because I'm so cheap. And then he has an architect who would come in, a retired guy, and he'd kind of get him state approved. And he charged like 14 or 18 grand for that, and I thought, not a bad retirement gig, huh? Yeah, look at these plans, okay, yep, the measurements come out, send them in, no, 18 grand, that's not so bad. You know, a little better than Social Security check. And so now he's singing with the angels.
Russ,
First of all, I was gonna say, how many slot machines are you gonna have in the village to make a little money? Okay. Our Sterling, Eureka, and Laketown Historical Society is 25 years old this year. I'm one of the 2 remaining founding members of it. So I've been with it since it started, which is interesting.
when you say this year, you mean 2025?
Well, we started in 2000, so 2025 was really 26th year, I guess we'd call it if you count 0 as the first year. But I don't want to bother with that because it sounds better because I forgot to say last year was 25 years old. Anyway, we had a pretty good year. We had several events that were well attended. Our 20th annual River Road Ramble was very well. It was good weather. Had a lot of people out. So all of the things we tried to do were good. Financially, we're sound, meaning that we know how much money comes in, and so we don't spend any more than what we bring in, which means, well, anyway, we're okay. The activity that I'm working on, the Obsolete Media Lab, we had taken on a project almost 2 years ago to digitize the Polk County Museum audio tapes, slides, negatives, glass negatives, all these different things, and that's been going on. We always say we're about done when we find, Brenda finds another 535 millimeter slides or something. And so this year we, in cooperation with the St. Croix Falls Historical Society, who has a member who has a slide scanner that you can put 50 slides in a tray and say go, and then a couple of hours later come back and put another tray in. So we're running through those very rapidly the last couple of weeks. We just got that borrowed. It's really nice to know what equipment other historical societies have so that you can borrow it, because the machine is about $1,500 to buy one. And it works pretty good. So anyway, I play with that. We've been open year-round Mondays and by appointment. Coming up, another project we did over the past year is a local church, Lutheran church, digitizing all of their historical records from 1879 in Swedish language all the way up to current things by having volunteers photograph or scan old scrapbooks. And our third book is just coming out of that information we got. And this one includes something that got me quite interested in church information, the Ladies' Aid minutes. And the Ladies' Aid was the church women's group. That's what they called them for years. Now there are different names. But so looking through those has been quite fun. We added quite a section to the third book on that. We also had got a copy that one of the St. Croix Falls members had digitized of the St. Croix Falls Presbyterian Church Ladies' Aid minutes from the 1890s on up through, which is, it's fascinating to read the women's role in the church. In Lake Town Lutheran, for instance, the first church board member that was a woman was in 1975. The first council president was like 15 years later. The first woman minister was around 2000. So that role. So our Christmas party this year, we always have it in January because January is so boring. So we have the 15th of January, which is our normal Thursday board meeting, is at the Wolf Creek Methodist Church. It's an old rural schoolhouse that's been converted to a church. And the presentation will be several of the women who are at least as old as I am telling about their experiences in the Ladies' Aid back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, etc. So we think that should be kind of fun. We also, let's see, I forgot my glasses. Okay, that's enough.
I've got nothing alongside Russ. You're gonna say something,
I just wanted to, on the Ladies' Aid thing, throw this out there. Reading some of the church histories that we have in our collections, I realized that it was almost always the women that started the churches. Like, for instance, Dover Lutheran, I was really interested in that one because that's where my family was. The women said, okay, we need a church, and they started fundraising for it. Then the men got on board, after the women had the money. Then the men were like, oh yeah. So then, when they had their anniversary a couple of years ago, the brochure had listed all the founders, and I had three out of like the 8 of them, 3 of them were my direct relatives, right? No woman was mentioned. It just cracks me up. Okay.
Okay, I have a question. Were all the women, when they'd have their minutes, Mrs. John Smith instead of Loretta Smith?
If you were not yet married or if you were a widow, they used your first name. Otherwise, it was always Mrs. somebody.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, so you don't know for sure who they are. Yeah.
Okay, Tim.
Clear Lake celebrated its sesquicentennial this summer, and we tried to do some promotions to go along with that. We are not heated, so we're closed and hunkered down for the winter. We do have our meetings in the community center, which if you came to our thing is the other high school, and it's attached to the museum, so it's easy and convenient. The one thing, we had a meeting, our monthly meeting was last night, and so the idea of this, I think is coming from Balsam Lake, from you with the cemetery, identifying some folks.
Yeah.
We're very interested in doing that and figuring out who to identify. Is there a timeline on when we have to make that identification, or?
Probably by the end of January, just so we can get, everything kind of up and running and get everything made. So, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I can talk about that in a minute, but yeah.
So explain that now that he brought that up.
Oh, well, we can go
Oh,
around the
okay.
rest of the way and then I'll,
Okay.
I'll chime in, but.
Otherwise, I don't think we have any big project plan. When I sit next to Russ and I just admire all the things he's got going on and gives me inspiration to try things for ourselves. But we're financially in a good spot. The toughest things for us, I guess, the challenge that we have not been able to do well is this Gaylord Nelson Highway sign. It's just crazy, the roadblocks that they throw out there. We have money to buy the signs, but they won't let you, the DOT won't let you put a sign. They consider that a private sign, and say, we didn't name the highway, somebody else, the state did, and it just needs to say Gaylord Nelson Highway. But you can't, and we have to buy the signs, and we're okay with that. We bought the sign on the other side of Red Wing and one that's up in Ashland, paid for that, and then they installed it. But they won't let you put that kind of a sign, just Gaylord Nelson Highway, on any post that currently exists, because they consider that a private sign on a public post. And it's a crazy, crazy, crazy thing. And so it's been like, we wish we hadn't started it because it's just that challenging.
So you haven't figured it out yet?
No, last night we got to thinking, as you go on the highway, there's the signs that say Mo Lutheran Church, and there's kind of an arrow to it and that kind of stuff. So we just wonder if that could, and you have to buy those, as the individual church or park or whatever that is they're pointing to, you have to buy that sign.
That's through your county. Those
Well-
ones, the white arrows?
County Highway Commissioner.
They put them up, but you gotta go through the state and get all of the,
Yeah,
you have to buy the sign from approved sign spot, and the county puts them up and has the place for them. But the thought we had, and we're gonna try to, that's our newest way of, can we break through this thing, is since they don't technically own those signs, the people who put up the Mo Lutheran sign have it, could we add it on those signposts that already exist? That'd be our only way of kind of breaking through the mess that we're in. Because otherwise, they want them off the right of way, which then means we have to somehow maintain them from the box elders taking over as the years go by. It's just a crazy thing. That's all I've got. Craziness.
So you need to do, like some people do, have the road named like Museum Road or something. That's what we're on here.
I'll go one worse. Do you guys remember when Sarah Beer was here as the assistant director? The sign had come, there had been one, I don't know how they got it up, but when you first got off the freeway at Cameron there onto Highway 8, there had been one there at one time and it had deteriorated and wasn't there anymore. So Sarah just we painted a sign with an arrow, just like the ones you were just talking about. We didn't know, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Just went out and pounded it in and it's still there.
Oh, see, the problem.
ask for forgiveness.
I know
Yeah.
that, yeah. We were thinking that we would just put them up on the Mo Lutheran sign and see what happens. Try it in a few places.
Well, and how long
close by.
before they notice,
Yeah.
They just won't know.
See, the problem is we didn't involve them in this discussion, so now we think we're on their radar maybe, so.
No, then you just say, oh, somebody else must have done it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
John? Can you just say who you are and what you're working on?
Yeah, I'm John Pissman. I am assistant educator here at the Pioneer Village Museum. I've been working on our logging exhibit, trying to renovate that. That's been a long process. Also working on America 250 events with my colleague Sarah. And one of the things that we're hoping to do is to host here a community conversation based on modules that have been pre-prepared or will be pre-prepared. They will be released in January by PBS Wisconsin, and hosting conversations centered on those modules in order to essentially engage in a civic dialogue that would be constructive for the community.
What this Pioneer Village needs for their logging exhibit is like a sawmill.
Yeah, there's a long wish list.
You have one,
Well,
don't
he
you?
would fulfill that list.
I've got one I've been trying to give to
What do
you
they say
guys.
about unicorns, if they were bringing everybody?
Well, he has one that's
He has
available,
one.
and he's been
Oh,
trying.
really?
Yeah, and I even offered
But our
to
board-
give some money with it too, so.
Thank you.
I'm Lisa, I'm the assistant director here. I've been doing assistant stuff. It's really admin. And I've been working on a presentation for our book school on Paris green and arsenical compounds in wallpaper and fashion.
That's a fascinating topic, we'll have to have her talk about it. It's really interesting.
It's very grim. Continues the pattern of industry knowing and not caring. I mean, it's nothing new, really, if you break it down to the theory of things.
Sarah?
I'll be talking later with the America 250. I've been working with John, but also there's something I want to share with you because I've been doing some stuff with the schools. And I printed off some things that you could take with you with ideas. And once again, I'd like you to use me as a resource. Email me a lot of the stuff I have. I have templates, I have instruction sheets. Why reinvent the wheel when it's there? I'm willing to share it for free. You can make, edits and alterations to what accommodates your needs. So I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the America 250 stuff.
And Sarah's the one that did the pennies, I hope all of you got one, it's a great, to me, they're just awesome.
I had some help. It was just
This is a great idea.
a crazy idea. My mom and my mom's best friend and I spent 6 hours on Saturday gluing. So I can't take entire credit.
What kind of glue did you use?
I use this tacky.
Elaine's tacky.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure hot glue would work too, but so far this has been pretty good.
She made enough to put them in all the Santa bags.
Yeah. So I printed off 800 of these guys. And John helped me cut, and he helped with some, and the people at the bank thought I was crazy when I asked if I could buy all these rolls of quarters, and
Pennies.
Pennies.
I'm sorry, pennies. Oh my God, could you imagine if they were quarters?
Yeah, that'd be a
But
lot.
I learned so much though, looking up stuff on the penny. I didn't know that they were made that early in 1793. And then I also didn't know that Lincoln was the first actual real person to be put on a coin. Before Lincoln, it was always like Lady Liberty or some goddess or whatever. So he was the first one, I think it was in 1903. So
1909.
it's something that really, back in the 1900s, right? So, but no, I wish I would have thought of it 2 weeks ago instead of last week. But we got them done, and I love it. I think it's fun. And we're hoping that when the kids come in May for all the school tours, maybe we'll, but that's a lot. We had like 1,800
Yeah,
kids
that's
last
a
year.
lot.
That'd be a lot of pennies.
Oh,
And the pennies aren't expensive, it's just the work.
yeah. I also have a bi-weekly newsletter that's going out for here, that if any of you are interested, again, it comes out every 2 weeks, so it's not a
Digital.
lot. Yeah, it's digital,
Yeah.
email, and I try to keep it to one page. It's more for like, we have a quarterly one, but it doesn't, sometimes it's like, well, we have our year-end meeting, but it's, 3 months before the year-end meeting and people don't remember. But also when, on the slow months, like this month or this edition, I did like the history of modern Santa Claus, and I write up a little historical article kind of themed around the season if I can. But, so if it's something you're interested in, let me know, I'll get you signed up.
And it gives dates for presentations that are coming up and cards.
So it's up on the table.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, there's a QR code if you want to do it that way, otherwise if you just want to give me your email, I'll
and she
type it
does,
in on the computer.
does Paris green, but she also does Santa Claus, so it's great.
Okay, Leah.
Okay, Leah Newman from the Bruce Historical Society. And I volunteer when it's open, and also on the off. Otherwise, I'm cutting out newspaper and filing. Another person I last year redid the whole file cabinet in the back, and we have family files and theme files. And it's been another person that usually answers the inquiries. Deb Tinsman said it's been wonderful, because you can go back and grab a file, somebody has something about a family rather than digging. So, okay, and then I'll let Mike.
Okay, yeah,
What's
we're
your
part of the
name?
Bruce Area Historical Society, and as I was listening, I jotted down a few more
What's your
notes, from, we have a
What's your
couple,
name?
what?
What's your name?
Mike Newman.
Okay.
Mike Newman.
I skipped my name too when I went around.
Yeah.
I'm Tim Weiss.
Well, let's see, first off, we're blessed, because we have some tech gurus who have retired, and they're just fabulous as far as digitizing photos and documents and whatever, that's what they did. You know, I mean, one was what was he, the head tech guy at Hastings Public Schools, he's a Bruce native. Another one was a cybersecurity guy at Whiffley, so these guys just love this stuff.
How'd
But
you
they
find
need
them?
Updated technology.
How did you find
So
them?
where are we
They're
gonna
from
get
Bruce.
They're from Bruce,
And
so
they,
they're there.
when they retired, they came back,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah. But anyway,
Is that what you explained?
they needed more upscale technology. So where are we gonna get the money? Granted, we do fairly well on fundraisers, but that pays for the insurance and keeps the roof over our head. So I just blanketed all of our members who have emails and said what we're looking for, because I think if they have specific thing that they know they're donating toward, it worked, and we got well over $2,000 just like that. In fact, we had cashed in a CD thinking we'd have to use it, but we never had to use it because we got enough money from our members. So they're in heaven because they've got these nice monitors and scanning devices and whatever. Some of it we got through grants as well. So they meet usually every week, volunteering their time, and fortunately the village hall is a nice heated facility, and they've allowed us to store some of our equipment in there and set up shop one day a week for a couple hours, and you know, we really owe it to them, because otherwise our museum has no heat or anything. So it's a year-round project, so we're really blessed in that regard. Other little fundraisers, we've had a hymn sing out at our Apollonia church, and we've had a couple pie and ice cream socials. And one thing we learned at a consortium, I think it was somebody from Gordon suggested that they just do donations and don't even charge for pie and ice cream. And so we thought, well, let's try that at one of ours. And sure enough, I think we got $200 more than we normally do. You know, you just have a nice clear jar, put a little startup money in there, and boom. And it's just so much simpler, you know, and people are really generous in that regard. And it worked out really, really well. Let's see. A few things that come up that we're, you know, and all of you probably run into this. Somebody at the village says, well, when was that log cabin built out at the Bruce Park? So what do? I don't know. And we know who built it, but we don't know when. And
Of course,
so
they're dead.
they're dead long ago. So we're trying to scour newspapers, and we put it out on Facebook and got ideas anywhere from 1955 to 1963. Well, that doesn't help a whole lot. It's generally in that area, so we're still working on that. And I think the minutes of the village hall, you know, the village should have something about that, so we've got to find that. We had a couple of items. Somebody had dumped off a beautiful organ at our Apollonia church, but it didn't fit with, you know, we didn't need that thing, so we
All
were
of a
able.
sudden it was there.
It was there.
It's like,
So,
okay.
It's a beautiful Yamaha, but you can't get rid of those things, so fortunately we
The barbed
did.
wire on the top?
They have the swap line on the Ladysmith radio, and sure enough, I put it out there, and within 2 days, somebody snapped it up. But it got it out of there, because it's a big beast, and we didn't need that. Then there was an old wheelchair that we had no room, because if you've been to our places, they're just too small. But the Russ County Museum, they took it, you know, so, and they have the history behind it, and so they'll display it really nice, and people will be able to use it. And I put in a plug for the Russ County Museum. I keep telling Jim Wolfer or somebody, you need to come to these consortium meetings. I think you'd really like it, because that's a really nice museum.
Where is it?
In Ladysmith by the fairgrounds.
Oh.
I'm talking of a wigwam, They have one there. They just put it up a few years ago, and it was all Native Americans
nice
that did all that.
museum.
Yeah.
I mean, a
it's-
nice.
And they got it
one, really
enclosed,
nice.
so I mean, the weather's not gonna destroy
Is
it.
that where the plow museum is?
They got the
Yes,
plow museum
yeah.
and all that,
Okay.
yeah, yep.
So Sister Cecilia came a few times, but
Yeah,
then
yeah,
got
she
in
passed
bad
away
health
now,
and
yeah.
passed away.
Yeah.
Well, if
But
you know,
so did,
do you know his
another
email
lady.
address?
I can't
Jim
think of her name.
Wolfer is the guy that's the coordinator now.
Okay, because if
Yeah.
you send me his contact information, I
I
can
got it.
add
I
it
can get
to
it
our
to you
list.
afterwards.
Yeah,
Sure.
because then that way I can add
Yeah.
it to the list, and I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
whether or not he wants it, I'll still
Yeah.
add it.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, let's see, so we've done the log cabin. Oh, then, speaking of history, we had a motel, our hotel. The old MacArthur Hotel was in the same family for well over 100 years, and it was in business until the last couple of years. And the proprietor, Donaldine, is in the care center, dementia and whatever, and so what are we gonna do? So they
And
decided to.
her son was gonna
Yeah, her son, Gary David, was probably gonna do something with it, but he suddenly passed away. And so then it's like, okay, now what happens? So eventually what happened is they had an auction, and there were people from all over the Midwest that came to it because it was plump full of antiques.
Oh,
And we were able to get at least
Well,
one dresser.
let me tell you, Vicky, the daughter,
Oh, yeah.
she had us so the auctions on Saturday, there were 4 or 5 of us that came from the museum, wanted us to pick out some items.
Yeah.
Okay, so we picked them out and took them home. It brought them to the museum, and then she sent Mike an email or a text and said, the auctioneer is mad. He had advertised all that stuff, and he's not gonna
Give
have
it
the
all back.
auction unless we bring them all back.
Yeah. So then we couldn't, for our museum, we need some MacArthur history. So what did we do? It was a qualified charitable donation somebody had just made for like $600 to our museum. So we thought, let's use that money toward purchasing some stuff at the auction. So one of our guys, Jim Moore, was really our local historian, he went and snapped up a nice dresser out of one of the rooms, and then other items that went with it, so we have a nice display of that.
And a quilt
Yeah,
that,
quilt,
that has
a lot of history.
all the names on it,
Yeah.
who made their square.
Yep.
Yeah.
so that had original stuff in it yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it had, one time it had been a hospital,
Yeah, way back.
way back.
Yeah. And that's where the railroad, and we'd take our groups of kids through there, and, every room was like something out of the 1920s or 30s, and,
Oh, really?
railroad would stop there, they would telegraph ahead or call ahead, okay, we've got 20 people that are gonna eat, so they would pull over on a siding, the people would walk to the hotel and eat for about 20 minutes, and then get on the train, and away they'd go. Moving along here, we have the Apollonia Church, you were talking about Ladies' Aids. Well, sure enough, Leah looks back and found 100 years ago, or 125 years ago, in 1895, the church in Apollonia was built. We got all the records that show that. And again, it's probably all men. But sure enough, in the 1895 Apollonia newspaper, it was announced that the Ladies' Aid group donated $100, which at that time had been an astronomical amount of money, toward that church. Yeah. Thought I'd throw that in here.
Yeah.
America 250, we're looking, we talked about doing some bell ringing and that sort of thing. We have one of our original bells. There's already people in town that are kind of going with it. I think they have Chris Cruzy lined up to come in for that, and the village hall itself. So I gotta coordinate with them. But I thought one little thing we could do is to try to get bells ringing and coordinated throughout town. We have our feature business or activity every year. We have one little segment of our museum set up last year was Trails End Camp, which goes back to the 1930s. It's still there and functioning and really well. So this year we might highlight the old Bruce racetrack. So time will tell. I think that's all I have except for whatever I'm forgetting.
So what's gonna happen, what will be going on in that old motel?
Well, right now it's pretty well stripped down and it's for sale, so you can buy it.
because,
I would have wanted to go through it before the.
yes, yes.
That's it, huh?
The old bank on Main Street,
Designer
it's for
Realty.
sale too, if you need to go look at a vault.
Is
They
that-
still
is this
got
in-
all the original stuff
What's
there.
the-
Where is this,
well-
Ladysmith or Bruce, or where are you talking?
Barron.
Barron,
On
okay.
Main Street in
Oh,
Barron.
okay.
The bank, the old bank, it's
Oh.
been for sale for
Oh,
years, I
forever.
think,
Huh.
but the guy just put up the pictures on Facebook the other day, so you can look inside it, which is pretty cool. I tried to get my friends in the cities in Michigan. We want to live in an old bank.
We have that huge bank vault, you can't see where I'm pointing, Russ, because it's in the Jerome Hall. But, a big, like, it's probably about this wide and about 6 feet tall,
Oh, wow.
one in Jerome Hall.
None of my friends wanted to pay the heating bill.
Tammy from the Pioneer Village, and they talked about a lot of the stuff that I would have talked about, but I do want to say that, you know, we've still got our folk school going, and honestly, I haven't been pursuing that as much as I should, but we still, twice a month, we have some classes, or at least a class or activity, and then we have dinner together, and then we have a presentation, and sometimes there'll only be 15 people here for a presentation, but sometimes we'll have 50 people here for a presentation, and so it's been a lot of fun, and I'm really glad we're doing it. We hear a lot of interesting speakers.
We had that Civil War one, and even had half of an AP high school class show up. So that was cool.
Like,
Yeah, I
this place
think
was
there were
packed, there was
20
people had
kids.
pulled chairs in, and it was awesome. And we got to eat hardtack, and it was great.
And then, this to me is really cool, but I don't know how to tell anybody how to duplicate it. The Rice Lake High School went ahead and hired what's his?
He's an instructional coach.
An instructional coach. And so he contacted with us and has brought students here, and some of the people from here have gone up to the school. But it's really awesome because they're using all of our archival material. And it's been the history classes and the English classes. I mean,
Charles Knapp has been out to their school several times with select archival materials. It's just been an absolute
it
success.
has been really
So they'll pick a topic. I think the last one was what, railroad photographs? I think was the last one. And the first session was here, but you know, you have to bus the students here. And so a half an hour was transportation. By the time they got here, they didn't have much time. So then, I don't know who came up with a brilliant idea, but they're like, well, we'll take it on the road. So Charles and John packed up a bunch of stuff, and then they drove to the school.
Well, Charles did.
And-
I can't. Yeah,
And,
Charles did.
well, anyway, you were part of it, but anyway, when they got there, then they had a whole 90-minute class period, because they didn't have to worry about bus transportation at the time. And it's all hands-on, and their teacher is very enthusiastic. It's been incredible. I want other schools to do it too, but, you know, we talked about having a road show, the historian, the archivist, and the teacher, and getting a VW bus, and packing this stuff up, and traveling to the schools, and this is what we're here for, you know? and
There's
we
some
have
real
research.
significance to that too, and this is that politics in our county, Rice Lake is the biggest city, and they know it.
Yeah.
And so it's always difficult to get Rice Lake to be a team player because they're of course #1. And to have them be a part of us is, cooperative, that's really a unifying thing in the entire general society, and that's very positive.
So we're hoping it's gonna grow, and it's just been awesome. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but
You said he's an instructional coach, is that what?
it's a brand new position this year. And he showed up this summer, and he said, "Are you Sarah? I'm supposed to find you." I'm like, "Okay." He said, "The two principals at Rice Lake High School told me I needed to come see you because he wanted to work with archival things. And he was a 4th grade teacher and taught Wisconsin history for like forever. And he came in for this position, so it's a new thing, and it's been awesome. He's been the contact guy.
I would love to see it where some history people took that as a big part or full-time job where they maybe, because these smaller schools probably can't, Rice Lake is bigger, they have money to do this. But what about all the schools in your county going together and paying a position they could do this with different schools. I think it would be phenomenal.
Like a regional instructional coach person.
And the other thing I want to say about the folk schools, I think that the communal meal is probably one of the coolest things about it, because I really think we're building community. I honestly think, I mean, sharing history is our mission, but I honestly think building community is a more noble mission that we all do. That's not the one that stands out that everybody sees, but I think that's the main thing that we do, because
Coalescing
everybody
around the
here
new
shares
building
us.
is a unifying goal. And then working with the native village and getting all these tribes to work together, that's another unifying thing. You know, some very positive social things are
Some great
side
partnerships
effects.
that are being
You know, it's real, and that's significant, you know.
And then the Cameron History Club, Sarah has been working with them, and so we're getting a lot of young volunteers too. And I like to think that we're really enriching their lives as well. Those are the things I want to say.
Brenna from the Polk County Museum. So we've got a few things going on. So we got our first intern this summer. So we had a trust that was set up basically to pay for very specific things that goes just towards the archives. So we were able to get an intern this summer, and basically that poor kid just spent the entire summer sitting in the archives digitizing things for me. But because of that, we also have a partnership with Recollection Wisconsin, so they are the ones that will be hosting all of the digitized items. So basically, as long as you keep a record of, you digitize the item, and then you keep a record of exactly, you know, what it is, they have their own spreadsheet that you basically just plug in the information and you're all set to go. And then you can meet with somebody and they set it up, and you basically just walk through your training to upload all of the stuff. I haven't finished converting everything because it's like thousands and thousands of images, but once I do, I'll start updating or uploading everything online, and so that'll kind of be our way to basically get some parts of our archives out to the public. And, you know, part of me is, you know, I'm okay with it because that means it's less questions about, you know, very random things, right? Like, when was this in Apple River? Well, geez, can you just look it up on that, you know? But instead of me having to go dig through it. But at the same time, it's also a way to let people kind of interact more with the history, especially if they can't physically get to the museum. So that'll be a thing that'll be pretty much ongoing every summer as long as I can get an intern. That person will be digitizing different pieces of the archives. Right now we've basically done all of the town and village boxes, so that's kind of specific to people who are questioning, you know, stuff about village histories and things like that. So we also, our volunteer has decided she really wanted to kind of pioneer this cemetery founders tour essentially in Polk County. So she was hoping to get together a list of interested museums in Polk County and interested parties. So if the museum might not be interested, maybe the village board would be. And basically they would submit 3 to 4 names maybe of their kind of most influential founders of that area. She would do kind of the additional research, and then we'd put together sort of like a driving/walking tour depending on how big, you know, where the cemeteries are and where they're buried. And it would just give people a little bit more of an idea of, you know, kind of what went into the founding of Polk County, but this is also going to include Native American influence as well.
Which could all be uploaded at Clio.
Yeah, and so that's the hope, is that once we kind of put it together with all of the research and once we get more input from our Native American partners, we'll kind of put it all together in the hope that it can be up and running by, you know, America 250, so sometime next summer. And it'll be self-guided, right? You don't have to have a group, but we do have, they just had a new trolley tour company that just decided to operate in Balsam Lake. So lucky for us, I already talked to them and they're interested in, you know, if we wanted to have them shuffle people around for, you know, a couple tours. They're also interested in doing like haunted tours and stuff like that. So I think that'll be a really good partnership.
Our yearly exhibit, that's loan, but everything else, it's like donated.
Yeah.
And we have forms and stuff, and we have permission, so if you donate it, then we can get rid of it.
Yeah, yep.
That's
Well, we have
important.
that now, but I mean, prior,
Yeah, everything was donated.
And one of our problems too is the one that helped originate the museum, Shirley Benson, she had her whole system.
Which we haven't figured out.
Yeah, we had all the numbers all over, and we did find a sheet that, maybe that was it, but they're kind of faded out and hard to read. Well, since then, somebody else had taken over, and there was a different system for keeping track of everything. It is,
But yeah, when it's priceless items.
We've had people try to collect things that were not on there, that were permanently donated, but then it's another family member coming in and saying, hey, that shouldn't have been donated, I want that. And I guess that's, we've done on a case by case.
We've had a couple of those, but they've been very gracious about it, and they've been very willing to prove that they're connected to the original donor and stuff like that, and that's been my focus, is like, how are you related to this donor, because obviously that person isn't alive anymore. And some of it was like, well, this was my mom's, and, you know, I think one person was like, I donated it and I didn't realize we did it, and so thankfully we were able to return, it was, you know, a family Bible, and so it was like, okay, that's fine, but yeah, others, the farther you get removed from the original creator, the original donor, it's tough.
So we've turned down some though, I mean, like one was a doctor's bag that a nephew tried to come in and he wanted it to go to the larger museum. Because someone told him, because he was in Hawaii, stationed in Hawaii when they were bombed on December 7th. So he felt like it should be, but I don't know that gave that doctor's bag that much of a significance, because the doctor's bag was filled with his tools, which were basically for delivering babies. So we turned it down and he was mad. And then a granddaughter one time wanted some china, and I had nothing to do with this, but Carol turned it down too.
Yeah.
And then we had some that take a tractor back and a few things like that, and, you know,
That was on loan.
yeah, it was clearly on loan, and they asked for it back, and bingo.
These were
went back.
things that were donated
Yeah.
unconditionally.
Just things to remember, folks. Maybe just don't accept loans ever.
Another
Right.
reason to work through the STEPS program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, what have we been doing this, I wasn't here at the last meeting, so what have we been doing? One of the things we had donated, this year was a wood beam section from the old train trestle, one of the old train trestles that crossed the narrows between Balsam and Red Cedar Lakes. It had floated up to the shore, and the guy didn't want somebody to wreck their boat, because it was just there, and so he just put it in his yard, and then he sold the place, and, you know, 40 years later, the owners had contacted us and said, you guys really should have this, so.
Was that Stout's one for, was it a
Well,
spur? Like for
No,
Stout's?
it was
No?
the narrows,
Okay.
I mean, it was the train trestle that went across there for, it would have been either the sewer deal or not, so. I'm sure. But, well, we're not sure, we're gonna do something with it. We continue with maintenance projects, between the Lawn Museum and the Moray House, although the Moray House, you know, is pretty well set at this point. Fundraising this year, we, for the first time, did a raffle, we did a basket raffle, and, raised $695. It was like, well, that was easy, it was all donated stuff, and it worked well, so we'll do that again. Our pie and ice cream social, raised $840 some, and then we have a bunch of vintage canning jars that we have put, you know, cute little tags on and suggested donations or whatever. We haven't been real good about selling many of those, but they're there. They didn't cost us anything. They were in the carriage house, so I cleaned them up and put them for sale. And then several books that we have for sale. We participated in the Historical Society's History Makers tourist display. We did the Great Lakes Small Streams. Unfortunately, because we have limited number of volunteers, we had the display open in the local Lions Club building on Saturdays in basically the month of August. Well, you know, it was beautiful weather except for one Saturday, and so that was the only Saturday that we really had any visitors. But, you know, we tried. Other things we've done to keep visibility in our community is, being in the Bluegill Festival Parade. We decorated the Maury House again for Christmas. We've established a task group to start reviewing and redoing exhibits at the Log Museum, which is why I'm really interested in that speaker. The Log Museum was built in 93, 94 by the newly established Historical Society. And most of the artifacts and exhibits that are in there are from them then. So they really need to be redone. They're kind of falling apart and they look dated and they weren't professionally done or anything. So that's one of the things that we're gonna be working on. We also have a task group working on a template for applying for grants and then searching for grants. And we'll see what happens, but at least then we kind of have, here's the information basically that you need to have, and we'll see what we do. As I said, we have a very small group of active volunteers, probably 10, maybe 12 at the most. So we continue to be limited in when we can be open. First and third Saturday from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And that's what we'll stay with. We have our winter newsletter coming up soon. I'll email that out to you when it's finalized. And the big hope for me that I would like us to accomplish this next year, we had a 1955 International fire truck and we built a building to display it in. And then now have given it back, well, we wanted to give it back to the fire department because they built this brand new fire department. Well, they weren't interested. But one of the members of the fire department was. So he donated $800 and bought it for $1, and he's going to get it running again and put it in the parade. So now we have all this space in this building, and one of our goals is to create some rodent-proof space to set up like kind of an office storage area so that I can get everything out of my personal office, like photos, materials, like legal papers and whatever. I just am really nervous about having that in my own office. So hopefully this next summer we'll get that accomplished. But that's pretty much it for us.
You didn't give us your name and museum.
Sorry, I'm Pat Keller with Birchwood Area Historical Museum.
Awesome, great. Brenda has a lightning session on social media engagement.
Yeah, sure. So, I noticed that when I first started at the museum, we had a very scant presence online. Our website in and of itself hadn't been updated in probably 6 months or so. So once I got that up and running, I realized, we should probably actually be on social media. Unfortunately, for anybody that is involved in Facebook, you know that you have to have your own personal account in order to be a manager of an organization account, which is frustrating because I haven't had social media in years. But I created just basically a filler account that is my own personal one that has nothing on it, just so I can manage social media accounts. So that includes Facebook. It also includes Instagram because they're now tied together. So it does make it easier. You don't have to have individual accounts for every single thing. I have found that as much as I would like to start getting into, things like Discord and stuff like that, the majority of people that interact with our museum are largely on Facebook or Instagram. It's an age thing. Maybe eventually I will get involved with something like Discord or TikTok, but right now I'd rather not. Same thing with X. But what I started doing is, I just started posting a couple things, right, about upcoming events, just maybe a couple times a week. But then I started thinking, okay, well, what are some things that I can do to get people actually to engage with the site and not just, liking is an engagement, it is, but to have people comment or have people chime in with things. So some of the things I started doing on Tuesdays, I have a Trivia Tuesday question that basically is something that's Polk County trivia, something Wisconsin trivia, or if it's the week of, some kind of major holiday, I'll do a holiday trivia. I think this week, what do I have scheduled for today? Russ, you can't answer. You can't guess the answer. Oh, it's something about, what's a Wisconsin holiday food item that has been banned from, or that has been advised against eating by the Department of Health?
Lutefisk.
It's like a Wisconsin traditional,
Eggnog?
nope. It's like a Wisconsin traditional food dish that kind of came about, and the Department of Health was like, please don't do this.
Cannibal stew?
Cannibal sandwiches.
Oh.
Yeah. So, because it's
yes,
basically like raw beef on like
Yeah.
bread, and then some people put like an egg on top. It is nasty. So apparently, but yeah, the Department of Health was like, please don't do this. And apparently people were like, I'm not gonna listen to that. And there's like, there've been like, I don't know, 30, 40 hospitalizations since like the 80s because of people just like ignoring this. But anyway.
That was a big thing when I was growing
Oh,
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
When you go to weddings, they would
Okay.
have cannibal sandwiches and you were supposed to put like onions on them and stuff.
Yep.
And it was only done like by Milwaukee and it repulsive. I mean,
Yeah.
A lot of salt and
There's
pepper.
no-
Is it a Dahmer reference?
I you know what? If it's Milwaukee area, maybe it is. But
Well, I was up with Joe Claire and that's.
so yeah, that's one of the things I did. It's Trivia Tuesdays. And then on Fridays, I usually have some kind of, I started to do just the alliteration because A, it's easier for me, and B, it's nice because you can do, if you hashtag something, right, you can do hashtag Trivia Tuesday, and there have been a bunch of, anybody else that has used that tag, it'll show up, and so you can basically click on the one that has the most uses. So I think currently the hashtag Trivia Tuesday has like 724,000 uses. And that'll kind of pop up on, if anybody ever clicks Trivia Tuesday, it'll pop up on, on somebody who randomly clicks it. So it could be somebody from, on the other side of the world.
It's from German immigrants. And I know they still eat raw.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a big deal.
my wife was from West Bend, Wisconsin, and her ancestors were all German, and they still have the raw hamburger on the table for the Christmas dinner. I never ate it.
Do not recommend. But one of the other things I started doing is like a Friday feature, or I started doing a Who Am I Friday. So we have a ton of items in our archives of it's just photos of people that no idea who they are, no clue where it was taken, anything like that. So not that I always get a response, but it's just to get people to think, so I posted some pictures and I'll say, hey, our Who Am I Friday feature is, this photo that was taken, maybe around this time period. Does anybody recognize the buildings in it? Can anybody maybe pinpoint where it was taken? Russ is always a good contributor to some of those ansers. To add some context. And then the other one is a Saturday Spotlight. So again, alliteration is my friend. Saturday Spotlight is a way for me to showcase something in the museum, whether that's an exhibit that we're working on or just something that I found. So last Saturday's Spotlight was a highlight on some old medicine, like cough syrups that I found in our general store. And it's, they have like, morphine or something in there, right? So I was like, hey, everybody, here's just a ephedrine, so stuff like that. So I mean that takes care of 3 days a week, so it's constant posting. But then it also allows me to chime in and say, hey, on Wednesday I'll have something set up for like, are you guys ready for our event on Friday and things like that. Because a couple years ago we lost our original Polk County Museum account, it just somehow booted us off one day, and that was it. And no matter how many times I tried to get back into it, Facebook was like, yeah, we're working on it, and then nobody ever came back to me. So I created a new account. The benefit with that is that it did kind of allow us to start over again, and the people that follow our account are people who have actually engaged with and have actually been invited to follow our account.
So did you invite them then?
So what I did was I put a call out to our Chamber of Commerce, and they shared it on their Facebook pages, and then I asked everybody else, once they liked the page, if you know somebody else who would like this, please like it. And so in the past year and a half-ish, I think I managed to get us back up to just about what we were. So it was about close to 1,000 followers, things like that.
Well, we have a Facebook page that someone else set up. I'm an
Yeah.
administrator, but now she's moved back to Texas.
Sure.
So, I mean, I don't know how, she wasn't able to tell me how, with the login or whatever, so.
If you're an administrator, all you should be able to do
I'm able
is
to get
flip flop it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
So-
able to get in there,
Yeah.
but I'm just, like, well.
Yeah, so Meta Business Suite is what they call it. I think that's like your new best friend. They have their planner section, so basically anytime they have a little calendar, it'll show the week, whatever week you're currently on, and that's how I plan my posts so that I'm not sitting there remembering, every day like, oh, I have to post something. I can plan it out for like
Where
a
do you
week
get
at a
that?
time. So if you go to your Facebook page. And yeah, if anybody has questions about Facebook, I will do my best to answer them. I don't like social media, so if I can help it, I try to stay off of it. But unfortunately, this is kind of.
And I haven't been very good about this.
Kat, do you have it on your phone? Because mine just made its own new,
So if you have-
new little thing right on.
Yeah, so Meta Business Suite has their own little app, so if you do have it on your phone, you can do that as well. So. But anyway, yeah, so what you should be able to do is.
So, did you have more to share on that, or, because we only
I
have
don't
half
think
an
so.
hour?
Yeah, we'll try to figure it out.
So, let's, this thought exercise, that to me looked like something that would be good to do, but maybe it doesn't have to be, so let's do our America 250, and then if we have time, we can come back and do this.
Yeah.
And as far as what went well and what should be improved, can you send it in an email, cause,
Yeah.
yeah.
If anybody has thoughts about it, yeah, just let me know.
And then if we're doing the mini conference in April, we'll just have our meeting then, right? So we have a location and a date.
Yep, and we usually do it for lunch, right? We do a meeting over lunch.
Yep. Okay,
So that would be in Balsam Lake, or is it here?
that's here.
Okay.
I just claimed December meetings. If
Oh,
people want to do that in the future so that you guys don't have to constantly work around your decorating schedule.
So that brings us to ideas for America 250, and we're gonna let Russ start it out because he's obviously been getting it a lot.
Well, some of us are old enough to remember America 200 celebration and the things that were all done in, let's see, that would have been 1976, right? Anyway, so our group is really small, and we sat down and tried to brainstorm what could we do that is not really too big of an effort. You want to lay back a little. And so we thought that the best thing is inserting ourselves or the idea into all of the organizations that we know of around. So for instance, at the county fair annual meeting, and I'm a Fair Society member, not on the board, I just brought up, okay, what are we going to do for year 250? Well, they'd already been thinking about it, and they're going to plant the flower beds to red, white, and blue flowers, and had some other ideas maybe with the 4-H and stuff like that. So I feel like, and I'm in about maybe 8 different organizations, from the Rock Club to the Genealogy Society, and so I've been out to a writers group, and I've been nudging all of those to think about what are we going to do. And for instance, what are we going to do at Memorial Day at the cemetery that I'm the sexton of that might add something that has our year 250. We also decided in our group that the Revolutionary War and soldiers and that had been pretty well done, and so we thought maybe that we wouldn't aim ourselves towards that, and instead of thinking of things like the normal life of people in the that era, the colonial era, what was it like? What kind of food or recipes? How did you cook? What kind of roles did people have in society? Let's see, I wrote down some of these. What was the housing like? How did you heat your house? What were the churches and the schools like? Can we find some old school book or things from that era? And what can we do that is not just Revolutionary War stuff. In the Genealogy Society, which I'm also a member of, we decided that we would offer to have anybody who wanted to try to trace some colonial ancestors, we would try to help them. We do have the genealogy group as Monday drop-in help at the Luck Museum, and so we would help people if they wanted to try to figure out if they had a connection to the colonial period, not necessarily just the Revolutionary War. We also had a discussion with a couple of the members who are in the Daughters of the American Revolution about what that group is, which is kind of a small, dwindling group too, but what they might be interested in doing. And so we're also hitting up the local American Legion and any group that we can think of, and trying to come up with ideas of what to do with that. Let's see here. I think that's probably. Oh, we also, some of the differences, like what kind of table setting would you have? Did people use knives, forks, and spoon? Did they have, what kind of plates did they have? All of these things that are just daily life. And I was looking in old recipes of, which you can't find very many recipe books, but you can find colonial period meals, fireplaces with, pots over the fireplace and that. But one of the recipes that was there said, take your jug of molasses, tip it up, and dump out 5 glugs into the kettle that you're mixing. And then so I was trying to think, okay, what's a glug of maple syrup? So that's our view. We don't really know for sure what we're going to do. We also have the Brenna, our county has a schoolhouse at the county fair, and so one of the things that we talked to you about last time up at Frederick was quills to sign your John Hancock on have a copy of the Constitution, and then have another piece of paper below where everybody could try signing their name with a real quill, not just a feather. So anyway, that's our. So mostly what I'm interested in is some ideas from the rest of us here, rest of you, what we might also do on a smaller scale maybe than what a place like Pioneer Village might do. They might recreate Valley Forge or something. So I'll pass that on.
Ready for me?
Yeah.
I do have copies of these on the table. First of all, I'd like to share with you Wisconsin Act 95. It says each public elementary or secondary school shall provide at least one event or educational opportunity to pupils in the 2025-26 school year. And the school districts are supposed to report to the Department of Public Instruction the event or educational opportunity that the school held to satisfy this requirement. So I have been reaching out to schools because I thought if I could do something, the teachers don't have to have more work. My experience has been to work with individual teachers and not administration. Because if I send it out to administration, the emails don't get read, nothing gets done, you get frustrated. But if you have connections with certain teachers, they can be very, very helpful. And if you tell them they really don't have to do anything, they're going to be super duper happy because they're overwhelmed. So John and I did go to the Cameron Elementary School one time already, and we had them make tricorn hats. And I have the templates, so if anybody's interested, whoops, sorry. These have been in a box, but here's another one. They could decorate them however they want to. So we sent them to the 4th grade teachers, and they had to make them before we came that day. And so when we came, they all had their hats on. So if you look at, I put pictures of some of the kids on there with some of the hats. So if you contact a teacher and they want any of that stuff, I have it. I'll send it to them. And we had a blast. We read Paul Revere's Midnight Ride. They took pictures holding lanterns. And at the end of the day, the secretary said to every kid who had a hat, wore them on the bus, they wore them after school. They thought it was the coolest thing. So that's something that's kind of fun. And we dressed up, and that's always fun. But yeah, those pictures are on there. Also, for this next school year now, in Cameron, and that's who I have my connections with, and they've been very receptive about stuff. We're going to set up student-created displays in each of the libraries so that all the students are exposed to them. It's not in individual classrooms, so that fulfills that requirement that every pupil in the district will be there. So in the elementary library, they are making these cards, and I have examples you can look at, but also I have pictures of them on here. So they have the founding person. We're going to have a card for every signer, every of the 56 signers, and it's like a baseball card. It's got the picture of the person on the front and on the back of their facts, okay, and how they contributed to that. So if you want to see the actual live ones, I'll have them out and you can look at them. But otherwise, I did put some pictures on there as samples. So that's going to be in the elementary school. The 5th graders are making these, okay? And I give them all the supplies. I give them the list, and they could pick who their signer is and so on. And the media specialist, librarian, and her aides are helping. And then we're going to display them. In the middle school, the 6th graders are doing the same thing. So the 6th graders will have those. In the high school, I worked with the freshman U.S. history teacher, and when he did his unit on the American Revolution, they did what are called one-pagers. So it's a page that's illustrated with their topic, and I have copies of these on here too, okay? So this one is about Independence Hall, where it was signed. This one is Principles of the Declaration. This one is 3 of the Pennsylvania signers, okay? And then this is the New Jersey signers. So the students look them up, they pick their topic, and because he had 90 students, I had to come up with 90 topics. Because they did this for a grade, and then we're gonna display them in the library as like a timeline. So for example, so I put some quotes, we mutually pledge our lives and so on from the Declaration. And then when we do the timeline, it's going to go in chronological order. And so I have each year put out. So I'm going to have 1775. And then the events that they did on their timeline is going to be under that year. And it's going to go from the French and Indian War up until the Declaration is signed. That's going to be in the library. So all the high school kids will get to see it. And the kids did the work, and I think that's important, that they're student-led, okay? So those are on. And then for the banners, some of the art students made these America 250 banners, one for each of the libraries that they're gonna hang up, so they were involved in that too. So feel free to grab those, and then on the one that has the tricorn hats, I put potential topics, and some of the stuff overlaps what you said, Russ. Colonial games, colonial foods. So if we have events here, okay, at the museum, we can have different stations. So they can go and they can look at colonial games, colonial foods, writing on parchment paper with quill and ink, having somebody actually reading the Declaration. I like the bell ringing idea. I think it'd be kind of cool if we could synchronize a time on the 4th of July, every at noon or something, every type of a bell in the whole area rings at the same time. I think that would be really cool. I like that. And then certain topics you might cover. You could do something on Pontiac's War because that involves the Native Americans in the area. Wisconsin during the War for Independence, what was going on here. The fur trade was really big in the area in the Great Lakes. And I was watching a documentary on that, and they called it, what is Wisconsin now? They called it Anishinaabe country at that time because the Anishinaabe were so involved in the fur trade both the French and the English. And if you want a really good source for that, there's this historical atlas, okay? And there's, obviously it's a map, but it has stuff on the European fur trade starting back in 1621, and then the map of Wisconsin that has all that. So portage was a huge part of all of that. So I think that's really interesting because we're trying to make that connection too. This is not just something that happened on the East Coast, with the revolution. Stuff was impacting this area. So that's cool, but this is a really good source. Wisconsin's past president, it's from the University of Wisconsin Press. And even if you don't use it for this, it's great for all kinds of stuff in there. It has stuff on immigration and all that kind of stuff. So, once again, if you're interested, you can look at my stuff. I have those handouts for you. You can contact me. I will send you anything you want. This is my gig. I'm passionate about it. As you can tell, I love it. Another thing I thought about too is if you want something for the students to make other than these hats, they can make bookmarks. So I made these yesterday. So you give me a printer, some scissors and some glue and a laminator, video, right? So there's all kinds of different things that you can do for hands-on things. But this is stuff that kids are going to remember. Oh, I remember it was America's birthday and we made these hats or we made these bookmarks or whatever they're doing. The last thing, unless you have any questions, if you want to do something like this, I'll send you the template. It's on Word. You can just change the name on there. I fit 20 of these on a page. So, don't reinvent the wheel. If you want to do something, let me know. Okay? Are we all good?
I think the kid that writes about a founder is never going to forget the contribution that founder made.
That's true.
Yeah. Some of them are so interesting. And their names are great, like Button Gwyneth. My guy was Button Gwyneth. His name was Button. I mean, like you said, they remember that.
Who else said something?
So, very cool.
Thoughts?
I can send ours out because one of our board members, you strongly impacted us. He got real excited about it. So he created a whole list of kind of like goals that he hopes just with our museum to accomplish within the next year. But a lot of it was centered around America's 250. So one of the things he wanted to do was have like an actual tea party, like full China, like kind of like a tea party event. In Balsam Lake, since they do Freedom Fest on the 4th of July weekend, they have the royalty, whatever those gals are, or Miss whatevers. They have their own little tea session. Yeah, and so apparently it was usually at a church, and I think that's the church that just caught fire, so maybe I can claim it for the next, maybe I can sneak in there and just swoop down. But yeah.
You had nothing to do with the fire.
No, nothing at all. It's a brick building, it's fine, it's just a bell tower. But so hopefully something like a tea party. We're hoping to do a time capsule burial type thing. We're still trying to work out the logistics of it because again, you don't want people just like putting in their iPhone that then blows up, degrades and the battery explodes or something. And I'm thinking of tying it to our Pioneer School kids that come in August every year, so that way they can kind of make their little contribution to it, and we'll bury it. The other problem is, finding all of the buried lines so that we're not actually, getting something important. But, we thought a time capsule burial would be good. And for us, kind of a partial fundraiser would be something more like, a birthday party. So baked goods, a big birthday cake, things like that, on the actual 4th of July itself. But his ideas were definitely included in there. A lot of that, he was hoping to have some kind of debate, I think, or basically like a court session in terms of like who's guilty, right, for kids, like, are the colonists the guilty ones or are the British the guilty ones, and have like a big debate for something like that with some of the older kids that come through. And I can certainly send that out as well and a lot of it is tied to, how much money he hopes to raise and things like that. But a lot of the ideas that he has are pretty interesting, so.
I love that tea party thing.
Yeah, he was like super excited about it and I was like,
cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that? I just want to interject one more thing before I forget. Because there is so much stuff out there right now. That flag I found on Amazon for $10. and I did not have any idea what it was gonna be like when it came. It's double-sided, it's super nice, I was super surprised.
I did have to
So-
iron it.
She did have to iron because it came all folded up, you know. But, I mean, there is stuff out there.
So my big thing was, what happened here, I remember, and how did we play a role in that? How did people of Wisconsin, which primarily were Native Americans and fur traders, did they have anything to do with this? And so I was doing research on that, and actually, Wisconsin played a big role in it, because this was one of the negotiating things that they were trying to decide, is who gets control. America was claiming control of Wisconsin even prior to that, but they didn't actually get it until after. So anything having to do with rendezvous or Native American has a lot to do with this. And so using AI like I like to do these days, I have been having a conversation with it and finding all kinds of things that we could do here that would be very appropriate and meaningful to people in this area. Like, we could do some of the material culture of the colonial era, but we could also do a lot of Native American things, like fire starting with flint and steel, and rendezvous type. I mean, now I can't even remember what all they were, but some of the things you guys talked about: quill writing, tinsmithing demonstrations, simple woodworking, beadwork, traditional cooking. We could do a traveling, for a couple $100, we could put together a nice traveling tour or traveling exhibit that we could take to libraries and schools and different areas that will tie Wisconsin into this whole America 250. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share. Anybody else? Does Bruce have ideas already, what you guys wanna do?
We're just gonna, first thing was just, the bell ringing, we wanna coordinate that with all the people in the community. It's a matter of, okay, what time of the day, is there a specific time that would have been important? I don't know, so but at least to coordinate like noon or whatever it is, and have all the churches and
Yeah,
kids and whatever.
we've had that
ring
happen
bells.
with the Catholic Church when the time changed.
Yeah, the bell's off.
Just,
But try to do something like that, and then
Yeah.
go from there and talk to other organizations or groups, the Kiwanis and the Lions and all of
the
them.
Legion.
The Legion for sure. I think we have talked about it, and we really haven't come up with any ideas other than that. We know that some members in the village do plan on having a festive occasion there, so I guess we gotta learn and get on board with them more. And we'll have our museum open then too. On
So
any particular day.
remember that saying, "We the people"? See, I love that idea too, because I thought we could put an American flagpole in the middle of an area, put tables up around it, and have all different ethnic groups have a table representing their material culture and their group.
I did blanket our members, in April, 2025, about 2 lanterns in the window, and because we went and bought a couple of little lanterns and we put them up there, and I got a fair number of responses of people thought that's really cool, and they were gonna do that, so.
Yeah. There's our 2 lanterns, one's there and one's there.
We have a member who has put together a presentation on ethnic foods that each ethnicity kind of concentrated on when they were here. Did an excellent job.
Who did that?
Carol,
Pearson?
no, Peter
Kettner?
Kettner.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
gardening. This was
Yeah,
for
gardening. Yeah, the type of gardens that each ethnicity had. There you go. That's more accurate. But it's really, really well done. So if you ever need a program or something like that,
That would be kind of an interesting thing, a little demo garden or flower bed of things that actually were 100, what is this here, 250 years ago that might have been in the flower bed or might have been in the garden, because probably it's different than what we have now.
That same person, Carol Kettner, she has a little garden back here that she every year changes it to a different ethnicity.
Cause there's
It'll be a
differences.
German garden or a Norwegian garden or a Native American garden.
Yeah, and growing less is really something to see.
Growing left side.